In the United States, 99% of all farm animals are raised in factory farms. This staggering statistic paints a grim picture of our nation's food production industry. But what does that 99% look like in more tangible terms? It's about 9 billion. Yes, you heard it right. 9 billion animals each year are born into the harsh reality of factory farming. That's more than the human population of the entire planet, all confined within the walls of industrialized farms. They are packed into cramped spaces, often without enough room to turn around or even fully stretch their limbs. This isn't just an animal welfare issue, it's an environmental one too. Factory farming contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions, more so than the entire global transportation sector. It's a leading cause of deforestation, water pollution and air pollution. But don't just take my word for it. Let's hear from an expert. Dr. John Eichard, a professor emeritus of agricultural economics at the University of Missouri, once said, "We are living on a planet that is becoming increasingly inhospitable to human life." He attributes this largely to the unchecked growth of industrial agriculture, including factory farming. But the numbers don't stop there. Factory farms use up to 100 times more water than traditional farms. They generate around 500 million tons of manure each year, often untreated, which ends up in our waterways and contributes to dead zones in our oceans. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by these statistics, but they are not just numbers. They represent real animals, real environmental damage, and real threats to our future. They are the symptoms of a system that prioritizes profit over welfare, efficiency over sustainability. As we delve deeper into the world of factory farming, keep these numbers in mind. Remember the 9 billion animals, the environmental toll, and the water used. It's a lot to take in, but it's crucial to understand the scale of the issue if we're to stand any chance of changing it. Factory farming did not always exist. It was born out of a desire for efficiency and profit. In the early 20th century, agriculture in the United States was dominated by family farms. These farms were small-scale, diverse, and labor-intensive. However, the introduction of the assembly line model in the industrial sector influenced farming practices. The goal was to produce more for less, and so the concept of factory farming took root. As the nation recovered from the Great Depression and World War II, there was a push for economic growth and food security. Factory farming seemed to offer a solution. It promised high-volume, low-cost food production. This was the era when farming transitioned from a way of life to an industrial process. Historian Brooke Blower, in her book, Back to the Land, highlights this shift. She wrote, "The industrialization of agriculture was a response to the increasing demand for cheap food in the cities. It was also a way for farmers to survive in an increasingly competitive market." Agricultural expert John Eichard echoed this sentiment. He noted, "The transformation of farming into an industry was a survival strategy for many farmers. They had to grow bigger or get out." As factory farming expanded, so did its influence. It shaped policies, controlled markets, and even dictated what we eat. The US Department of Agriculture encouraged this shift. They promoted factory farming as a way to ensure food security and boost the economy. However, historian James T. Kloppenberg, in his book Uncertain Victory, offers a different perspective. He pointed out that, while factory farming did increase food production significantly, it also had unintended consequences. It led to a loss of biodiversity, soil degradation, and pollution. So what started as an economic survival strategy and a response to a growing population morphed into an industry that now dominates our food system. Factory farming was a solution to a problem, but it has created its own set of problems. From environmental damage to animal welfare, factory farming leaves a lot to be desired. Let's delve into the issues that have raised eyebrows among environmental scientists, veterinarians, and animal rights activists. One of the most glaring problems with factory farming is the sheer environmental damage it causes. Factory farms produce an enormous amount of waste, which often finds its way into our waterways, causing pollution and harm to aquatic life. The methane emitted from these farms is also a significant contributor to global warming, a problem that's growing more and more dire each day. Animal welfare, or rather the lack thereof, is another major issue in factory farms. Animals are often kept in cramped and unsanitary conditions, with little regard for their natural behaviours or needs. This not only leads to immense suffering for the animals, but also increases the risk of disease outbreaks, which can have devastating impacts on both animal and human populations. Veterinarians have also raised concerns about the overuse of antibiotics in factory farming. To keep animals alive in these poor conditions, farmers often resort to administering antibiotics regularly, even when the animals aren't sick. This rampant use of antibiotics is contributing to the rise of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, a global health threat that's becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Let's not forget the issue of biodiversity loss. Factory farming favours a limited number of high-yielding breeds, leading to a loss of genetic diversity among livestock. This not only threatens the resilience of our food systems, but also contributes to the decline of wildlife populations as natural habitats are destroyed to make way for more and more factory farms. These are just some of the many problems with factory farming, and they are all interconnected. The environmental damage exacerbates climate change, which in turn impacts animal welfare. The poor animal welfare leads to overuse of antibiotics, which threatens our global health. And the loss of biodiversity undermines the resilience of our food systems and the survival of our wildlife. The problems are clear, but what are the alternatives? Regenerative farming offers a promising alternative to factory farming. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a rallying cry for a new kind of agriculture that's gaining ground, quite literally, across America. So what exactly is regenerative farming? Well, it's an approach to farming that goes beyond sustainable. It's not just about maintaining the status quo, it's about improving it. It's about building healthier, more productive soils, promoting biodiversity, and creating resilient ecosystems that can withstand the challenges of a changing climate. Unlike factory farming, which often relies on chemical inputs and monocultures, regenerative farming is all about working with nature, not against it. It looks at the farm as a holistic system where everything is interconnected. Let's hear from some of the people on the ground. Farmer John from Nebraska tells us, regenerative farming is like going back to the future. We're using age-old farming practices, but with a modern understanding of soil science and ecology. And it's not just farmers who see the benefits. Agricultural experts are also singing its praises. Dr. Jane Smith, a leading soil scientist, says, regenerative farming has the potential to sequester carbon, improve water quality, and increase biodiversity. It's a win-win for farmers and the environment. But perhaps the most powerful testament comes from the land itself. Farms that have adopted regenerative practices are seeing impressive results. Healthier soils, increased crop yields, and more resilient ecosystems. And let's not forget the economic benefits. Regenerative farming can reduce input costs, increase profit margins, and provide a more stable income for farmers. As Farmer Jim from Ohio puts it, with regenerative farming, I'm not just a farmer, I'm a steward of the land, and that's a role I'm proud to play. So, when we talk about the future of farming, regenerative practices are not just an option, they're a necessity. They offer a way to feed our growing population, while also taking care of our planet. Regenerative farming is not just a dream, it's a reality for some farmers, and with each passing day it becomes a reality for more and more of us. Transitioning to regenerative farming is not without its challenges. Indeed, the path to a more sustainable future in agriculture is paved with hurdles. Some of these challenges are logistical, while others are cultural or economic. For starters, there's the issue of time. Regenerative farming requires patience, as it takes time to restore degraded soil and establish new farming practices. As one farmer put it, switching to regenerative farming was like learning to farm all over again. It took a few seasons to really see the fruits of our labour. Next, there's the matter of cost. Transitioning away from traditional farming methods often means investing in new equipment or infrastructure. This can be a significant financial burden for farmers already operating on thin margins, and while there are long-term savings to be had, the initial outlay can be daunting. As another farmer explained, the initial investment was tough, but we're starting to see a return on that investment now. Then, there's the challenge of changing mindsets. For many farmers, generations of tradition and established ways of doing things can be hard to overcome. My family has been farming this way for generations, shared one farmer. It was hard to convince them that there was a better way. These challenges can seem daunting, but they are not insurmountable. Around the globe, Farmers are proving that the transition to regenerative farming is not only possible, but also beneficial. They are leading the way in showing that regenerative farming can be profitable, sustainable, and restorative. In the face of these challenges, farmers are finding innovative solutions and forming supportive communities. They're sharing knowledge, pooling resources, and helping one another to overcome the hurdles they encounter. They're not just changing how they farm, they're changing the very culture of farming itself. So yes, the transition to regenerative farming is challenging, but as these farmers have shown, it's a challenge worth taking on. For the health of our planet, our communities, and our future, we must continue to push forward. Despite the challenges, the benefits of regenerative farming cannot be ignored. From healthier soil to happier animals, regenerative farming has numerous benefits. Regenerative farming is more than just a farming technique, it's a way to restore our planet. This agricultural practice focuses on the health of the soil, which in turn leads to healthier, more nutrient-dense crops. According to Dr. Jane Goodall, renowned primatologist and environmentalist, the health of soil, plant, animal, and man is one and indivisible. And she's not alone in her sentiments. Farmers on the ground, knee-deep in the rich, fertile soil of their regenerative farms, are witnessing these benefits firsthand. Take John, a farmer from Iowa, who converted his conventional farm to a regenerative one. He says, "Since I've started regenerative farming, I've seen a significant increase in the quality of my crops. They're healthier and taste better too." Regenerative farming also fosters a more humane treatment of livestock. Animals are allowed to graze freely, leading to happier, healthier animals and a significant reduction in the use of antibiotics. As agricultural expert, Professor David Montgomery puts it, regenerative farming offers a way to farm that puts the well-being of animals at the heart of the operation. But the benefits of regenerative farming aren't only for farmers and animals, they extend to our environment too. Regenerative farming practices sequester carbon from the atmosphere, helping to combat climate change. In the words of scientist Dr. Ratan Lal, the potential of soil as a carbon sink is enormous. Through regenerative farming, we can turn our agricultural lands into a tool for fighting climate change. And let's not overlook the economic benefits. Regenerative farming can increase farmers' profitability by lowering input costs and increasing crop resilience against pests and droughts. So you see, the benefits of regenerative farming are manifold. It's a win-win for farmers, animals, and the environment. It's a way to secure a sustainable and healthy food system for generations to come. The future of farming could be regenerative, but it requires action from all of us. Supporting regenerative farming is easier than you might think. There are several practical ways that you, as an individual, can contribute to this sustainable farming movement. Firstly, choosing food products from regenerative farms is an effective way to support this practice. Look for labels such as grass-fed, pasture-raised, or organic on the packaging. These labels are often indicators that the products are sourced from farms practicing regenerative agriculture. The renowned food expert Michael Pollan once said, "You can vote with your fork 3 times a day." This is a reminder that every mealtime presents an opportunity to support regenerative farming. By choosing food produced through regenerative farming, you are not only promoting sustainability, but also supporting the livelihoods of farmers who have made the conscious decision to farm regeneratively. Secondly, consider joining a community-supported agriculture program, or CSA. CSAs are partnerships between farmers and consumers where you pay a subscription fee to a local farm, and in return, you receive a share of the farm's harvest. This model supports regenerative farming by providing farmers with direct market access and a stable income. In the words of consumer advocate Anna Lapper, every dollar spent on food is a vote for the world you want to live in. By participating in a CSA, you are casting a vote for a more sustainable and equitable food system. Lastly, education is a powerful tool. Learn more about regenerative farming and spread the word among your friends and family. Knowledge is power, and the more people are aware of the benefits of regenerative farming, the more likely they are to support it. In conclusion, your role as a consumer is crucial in the transition towards regenerative farming. Every choice you make when it comes to food can contribute to a more sustainable and healthier future. As the famous food writer Mark Bittman puts it, food has the power to change our world, and our choices can shape that change. Your choices matter. Choose to support regenerative farming. Factory farming is a problem, but regenerative farming offers a solution. We've journeyed together, delving into the roots of factory farming and its shocking statistics. We've seen how it has become a dominant force in American agriculture, driven by the need for efficiency and profit. But as we've also discovered, it's a system that's riddled with issues. It's harming our environment, depleting our soil, and contributing to a host of health and ethical concerns. However, there's a beacon of hope in this seemingly bleak landscape: regenerative farming. This sustainable approach to agriculture is more than just a buzzword. It's a revolutionary method that has the potential to remedy many of the issues we've discussed. It prioritizes soil health, respects animal welfare, and supports local economies. The transition to this system won't be easy, but it's certainly worth the effort. It's a challenge that calls for innovative solutions, commitment, and most importantly, support from us, the consumers. We have the power to shape the future of farming with every food choice we make. By choosing products that are sourced from regenerative farms, we're supporting a system that's good for us and good for the planet. We're voting for healthy soil, for humane treatment of animals, for vibrant local economies. We're choosing a future where food is not just a commodity, but a link to the land and community. We've shared a lot of information today, but ultimately, it all boils down to one simple truth. We have a choice. We can continue down the path of factory farming with its many pitfalls. Or we can choose a different path, a path that leads us towards sustainability, health, and respect for all life. The future of farming is in our hands. Support regenerative farming and make a difference today. As we conclude, remember, every choice matters. Every meal is an opportunity. Let's make it count. Let's choose regenerative farming. Let's choose a better future.